Who are you? How did you get here? Chances are you have not survived your journeys alone. I want everyone to close your eyes for me. Close your eyes and think of someone whom you love, someone who you admire, someone that you respect, someone who's taught you to believe in yourself. Or better yet, think of someone who has believed in you, even when you did not believe in yourself. It could be your mom. Maybe when you were a little child, she would rock you every night, and she would hold you close and tell you how amazing you are. She would probably sing you songs from books like, I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. Or maybe it was your dad. Maybe your dad would throw balls with you and play catch, and maybe he would help pick you up when you fell and dust off your scraped knees and encourage you and say, you've got this, you've got it. And maybe he would send you off every day and say, have fun today and learn something. Maybe it was your grandparents instilling wisdom in you and sharing things that they've learned from the days of old. Or maybe it was your sibling lending a listening ear for you. Or maybe it was a foster parent or an adoptive parent or a coach or a teacher or a professor. Somebody has believed in you and challenged you to believe in yourself. Now I want you to open your eyes for me. Now, I don't know about you, but every time I think about the fact that someone believed in me, I get the warm fuzzies. And it's really, I think of Olaf, hi, my name's Olaf, and I like warm hugs. Like, it gives me that kind of warm fuzzies. And I hope it did for you, but that's okay if it didn't. A lot of people ask me, how did you get here? How have you survived all that you've survived in your life? How did you get here? You see, home for me growing up consisted of a lot of different things, and a nuclear family was not one of them. I lived in several cars. In fact, when I was in the 7th grade, I remember pulling up to my junior high school in a brown car with baling wire holding the trunk down and all of our possessions in it. We would shower in a truck stop before school. I lived in the Salvation Army, in foster care. Numerous motels, on the streets, rat-infested trailers with multiple drug addicts and alcoholics. So one can imagine that life didn't exactly give me an you can do anything mentality. I oftentimes felt defeated. You see, my dad was in prison, and my mom was a prostitute drug addict who self-medicated because of her own traumas and own tragedies in life. When I was 15 years old, I walked in. My mom had abused me the night before for the last time. And I walked in that next day, and she had a needle in her arm. And I looked at her, and I was just finally reached my breaking point. I did not want anything to do with that life any longer. And I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew that this was not the life for me. So I looked at her and I said, I'm leaving today. I'm not coming back. And that's a promise, and I don't break promises. And I left that day. I was 15 years old. I had a trash bag, made a phone call from a payphone to a friend, and I couch surfed for a little while, and when I was 16 years old, a judge granted my emancipation. I bought a little 2-bedroom trailer for $1,500, and I bought a $500 car, and as you can imagine, it got me from A to B and halfway to C, because a $500 car is not really going to get you very far. But I did it, and I worked 3 jobs, and I did my best to make it to class every day. But I didn't always make it to class. I didn't win a ton of awards. I didn't receive accolades from being late or being stressed or anything like that. But how did I survive instead of cave under the immense pressure of my surroundings, which included failure and poverty and shame and fear. Well, here I am. I did it. I'm a high school graduate. I have a master's degree in counseling and human development. My undergraduate degree is a Bachelor of Behavioral Science and Communication. I know I did that out of order, and I did that for all of you OCD people, just to drive you crazy. Here I am, and I'm an entrepreneur, a teacher, a musician, a photographer, a mom, a wife, and a student for life. I would be completely selfish if I said that I had accomplished all of these things that I've accomplished in my life alone. Let me tell you a little bit about the beginnings. You know, school for me growing up, the public school system was basically a safe haven. I had 2 meals a day and a safe roof over my head for those few hours. That's what it was for me. I had a 3rd grade teacher, though, that was the one that really encouraged me to want to go to school. She would brush my hair in the mornings. She would tell me that she loved me. And she would make sure that I had eaten that morning. She also would give me responsibilities in the classroom. She would read to us. For those of you who don't know, children in lower socioeconomic situations, some of them have lower literacy rates because they're not read to. And I was one of those. I hated reading. It was scary for me. But she taught me to love reading because, like parents do, she would sit in this little couch and she would have us all gather right here in front of her and she would just read us stories. And I loved it. I soaked it in every single moment. I'm going to fast forward to my sophomore year in high school. I was living on my own, and this amazing day, I decided to put money in my purse, and it was my rent money for my trailer that I lived in that day. It was $175. I was a waitress at one of my jobs, and I put this money in my purse, and I went to school, and I was in English class when I looked down and grabbed my pen, and I realized that my money was gone. I started to panic. And I ran out into the hallway. I put my hands over my face and began to weep because I was so afraid that I was going to be homeless again if I didn't pay my rent that day. My teacher came into the hallway and she said, "What's wrong?" And I told her, and she said, "Oh, honey, God's going to take care of you." Well, I didn't believe in God back then, but I was hopeful. So by the end of the day, she told me to go about my day and try the best I could to focus. So at the end of the day, this teacher brought me this envelope, and it was a manila envelope, and in this envelope was over $500. She looked at me and she said, "Stephanie, I want you to know that children were giving their lunch money for you. This is how loved you are. God used these people to give and to bless you." And I just wept. How amazing is God that he would take care of this young girl who wasn't even sure that she believed in him. I was almost in my senior year in high school, and I met this girl at one of my jobs. She was a cheerleader. She was nothing like me. She invited me to come to church with her over and over, and I really didn't want to. But one day, she said, "Just come." And on a Wednesday, I went. And She said, "I want to introduce you to my family." And through a series of events, I ended up at her house for dinner one time, and I met her family. And her family said, "We cannot stand the fact that you are living on your own in this little trailer. We want you to come live with us." Now, a lot of people would probably be jumping for joy at that opportunity, but I was not. I was not jumping for joy. I was scared. The reason I was scared is because I had some abandonment issues, and I was like, well, what if they don't like me? And they end up kicking me out, and then I'll be on the streets again. So it took me a while to say, okay. But eventually I did. I said yes. And I moved in with that family, and this family believed in me. They encouraged me. They said, "You know what? You're going to college now." Yeah, right. Really? No, I can't go to college. I had a great senior year. I got to do a lot of things that seniors get to do, go on a couple of senior trips. I was in choir. I got to just really soak in some amazing moments of a senior year. But I did not believe that I could go to college. And let's talk about that for a second. My GPA, I didn't even know what that was back then, was kind of down here. And let's just say I made the top half possible. So I was doing something good. I was giving all of those people an opportunity to rise above, right? So I'm just going to say I was the foundation. But I didn't know what a GPA was, and I sure as heck didn't think that people like me went to college. But they made me go to this college and career night, so I did. And I stopped by this table, and it said, "An education enlightened by faith." Man, that touched my heart. And I knew that that was the only college I was going to apply to. I know, you're like, really? You applied to that college, and that's the only one? Well, I knew that I needed a foundation of faith because I didn't have that. And I knew that I was such a baby Christian and so new in this walk that I wanted more. I didn't want to go to a public school because for me, it just wasn't an option. So, I went to Hardin-Simmons. I actually did not get accepted right away. I had to kind of write a letter and say, "Please take me. I really want to go here." And they did. They accepted me. They gave me a chance. And I did not let them down. My first semester here, I ended up with a 4.0. Now, I'm not saying I maintained a 4.0. It is really hard to do that in college. But I did pretty good. I've learned a lot on my journey. And here I am today. I wanted to encourage you to see life through a lens of love and gratitude. You have an opportunity to think back to those people who have walked with you in life. If you've had parents who are maybe a little on the strict side, be thankful. Be thankful that you had parents that loved you, that nurtured you. Maybe they didn't want you to spread your wings a little too early, but that's okay. You're going to spread your wings, right? And then some of you are like, "I want to put the wings back. I want to go back home. This is hard." You know, sometimes I got lost along this way because there's not a road map. I needed Jesus. And Jesus used people to guide me out of that pit to a direction of hope. You know, she read that scripture, the Psalm 40 scripture, and there's a song that goes with that, and it goes like this. "I waited patiently upon the Lord, and he inclined and heard my cry. He lifted me out of the miry clay and set my feet upon a rock. He gave me beauty for ashes, joy for my mourning, praise for heaviness. He put a new song in my mouth and a crown upon my head. He gave me life forevermore. He's been so good, so good to me. So good, so good to me. So good to me, Jesus. Yeah, he's been so good, so good to me. So good, so good to me. So good, so good to me, and I thank him. So I stand before you today with a heart of gratitude because I have hope, even when the world seemed hopeless. I was believed in even when I did not believe in myself. So I ask you, who are you? How did you get here? Chances are you haven't survived this world alone. There have been many teachers, even here at Hardin-Simmons University, that God used to help me to believe in myself, to help me to get past one more anxiety, one more fear, one more test, one more thing. Who has God used in your life? I want you to get your phones out now. I told you I was going to give you an opportunity, so I want everyone to get your phone out. I know you thought of someone who gave you the warm fuzzies. I really want everybody to participate. Get out your phone, and I want you to put at least one of those people in the text to send them a text message. I don't know how I need to say that. Send them a text message that says, thank you. And you can be as elaborate as you want. Send a text to your mom with a selfie that says, thank you for helping me become who I am today. Because I promise you, you didn't do this alone. Say, thank you for believing in me. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for nurturing me. Thank you for providing for me. God used those people to influence your life in an amazing way. Now, Joan of Arc was a martyr of the faith. She said, go forward bravely, fear nothing, trust in God, and all will be well. So I want to encourage all of you to live your life fearlessly. Have faith in God, because all will be well. I believe in you, and I know that others do as well. Thank you all so much for coming today. You okay?
Yeah. I almost fell again. We're not doing that. Hey, you guys are dismissed.